I am not a financial advisor, and I never give financial advice on this channel. 100% of this content is for entertainment purposes only. Hello everybody, I hope you're all doing very well. It's MetaShackle here, and I just wanted to do a quick update on the XRP charts, kind of going over what we've seen the last couple days and where I think we're at in the charts, as it's been a very interesting couple days, and a lot of the crypto market has literally just been on fire. XRP has kind of stalled out a little bit, but you've all probably heard that old saying, the calm before the storm, and I think that may apply. And I also wanted to do a quick shout out to Dave at D-Box. There's a video right here, and I want every single one of you to click on the link in the description. It will be posted just below the disclaimer at the very top, and I want each and every one of you to watch this video. I've had the pleasure of chatting with Dave via email the last couple of days, and the sheer amount of wisdom that he unpacks in this video is staggering, and all of you need to watch this. And I just want to say thank you, Dave, for sharing this link with me on this video. I think this is the most incredible video I've seen on YouTube in a very, very long time, and I've been thinking about it for days. So do click on that link in the description and watch this video, and I'd appreciate it if you'd subscribe to his channel, go down in the comments, and try to convince Dave to do more videos and put out more content in the future. And I truly admire your way of thinking, and I, for one, would absolutely love to see more videos. So please do take me serious on this. So let's get into the video. So taking a look at the current XRP chart, this is the 4-hour chart. And if you're a Patreon member, you've even gotten a few extra updates talking about how we finally filled this weak doji waterfall right here today up at this point right here. Now originally I had my levels off just a little bit, and when I was taking a look at it I had to make a slight adjustment to it, so it actually adjusted a little bit down. Anybody who charts knows that this happens once in a while. As you're moving around your charts, you'll kind of catch something and move it just a little bit and not even really notice. But it has been corrected, and if we look at the chart now, this doji's been filled, this doji's been filled, this one, and this one. We also formed a really nice bullish fair value gap right down here, and you can see this candle took a nice draw on liquidity. So this area right here could act as a secondary base of support if we do consolidate in an attempt to move up into the equilibrium zone. We also broke through this bearish fair value gap right here, which, as you can see, did a pretty good job of holding the price back but couldn't contain it forever. We're now trading above that area, and odds are, after filling this weak doji, there may be a little bit more consolidation in here, but we also have this lower trend line. So keep an eye on that trend line, because if we break that trend line, that could be a sign that perhaps we're going to come down and consolidate at this bearish fair value gap. And if this doesn't hold, look to this gap here, because even though I firmly believe that it's a part of the reverse dragon pattern that I've been talking about for the last week or so, that there's going to be a draw on liquidity down here in this liquidity zone at some point between this weak doji right here, hanging out at about that 183.5, up here midline on this bullish fair value gap at about that 203.84 level. I don't know how deep it's going to go, but my best guess is this weak doji right here will at least get taken out at around the 192.4 level. But previous to that happening, I do believe we are going to challenge the equilibrium line right here in the center of the equilibrium zone. And if it breaks above that, I think the likely location of that reversal would be somewhere between this equilibrium zone and somewhere between this flash crash marker that I have marked out on the charts right here that is hanging out at roughly that 270 mark. So assuming that happens, and I think it's very likely, because as many of you know, and as I have talked about many times, price moves based on liquidity, and there is a ton of liquidity down here, as I showed you in a previous video when I was going over the heat maps. That doesn't mean that it necessarily has to gradually work its way down. It could be a massive candle, as we saw last month, drawing into liquidity. I think there's a very good chance overall that we're going to visit this week doji right here prior to seeing the biggest part of this move. As I've said in past videos, and as the XRP breakout chart has been showing us for many months, indicating that the breakout would begin in the month of May, that doesn't necessarily mean that the breakout is going to go to the moon in the month of May. But as you can see, we're starting to build that base now, moving up, getting that bullish momentum. And if you look at the Bitcoin charts, we are not very far from potentially hitting a new all-time high on that chart as well. And I think that it's very likely, if you think about a scenario like this, don't take this as gospel, but just something to consider. If Bitcoin goes up, takes out this weak doji right here, setting a new all-time high by taking out this previous high right here, odds are it's going to go up to the upper trend line right here in this area, which I've circled in green. Now we could break out above this, test off of this trend line, and perhaps even go to the 123,000 range. Nobody knows for sure, but that possibility is absolutely on the table if we get across this and retest. That's if we get across and retest successfully. There's a good chance we could get rejected up here off of this upper trend line, moving downward. And if that's the case, odds are it would likely drag most of the crypto market down with it to a certain extent, which could lead to that draw on liquidity that I'm talking about on the XRP charts. And at some point, it's likely that we would see something to the effect of the altcoins diverging from Bitcoin, and as Bitcoin continues to lose momentum and drop in price, we would see the altcoins elevated. And think about what we saw during the Trump election pump, how quickly and how explosive some of the moves were in XRP as it was climbing up to set the new all-time high. We could see something very similar to that, but we would need some kind of a trigger point to drag the price of XRP and cryptocurrencies in general downwards into this liquidity zone before seeing that explosive move out of here, moving into the breakout in June, July, possibly even August. Now I know that generally in the past, the XRP breakouts haven't lasted very long. They happen pretty quickly. And if you look at the XRP breakout chart, you can clearly see that they've lasted anywhere from 2 to 4 months. And I think there's a good chance that we will be somewhere in that 2 to 3 month range on this particular breakout. But that's just my opinion, and don't take that as gospel. That's just kind of what I'm thinking right now. And anyone who knows me knows that I am a master of strategy. I think things out to the point that it would drive most people absolutely to the brink of insanity. So this is just one of the things that I'm thinking about and one of the potential scenarios that could unfold here. It might not have anything to do with Bitcoin in the end, even though we see Bitcoin coming down. But if Bitcoin goes up, it sets a new all-time high and starts gaining some ground, there are going to be a lot of people who take profits at that point, and those profits are very likely going to sit on the sidelines for a moment till the point to where they think that altcoins are at the best discount price possible, jumping into coins like XRP and XLM and HBAR and all these other great cryptos that exist out there, which essentially would propel them right back up through out of this liquidity zone, taking out whatever high was established right here before it fell down. And once crossing that point, we would likely see a nice move just gradually working its way up with some really big swings, very similar to what we saw during the Trump election pump, which would potentially last, as I just said, upwards of maybe 2 to 3 months. I don't know the exact timing. I almost never know the exact timing. We're all just guessing in that range. And as these charts unfold, that's something that we're going to have to look at, and we're going to have to make these assessments play by play by play. But right now, I would keep your eyes on Bitcoin, because that's going to be most likely the determining factor in what happens throughout the broader crypto market. And XRP is going to be one of the prime beneficiaries. And also keep in mind, I've talked about this in the past, XLM has fallen quite a bit behind XRP, and if you look at the monthly chart, has yet to break out of the wedge pattern. That wedge pattern is very similar to the pattern that we saw XRP break out of during the Trump election pump, and I think there's a very good chance we could see XLM start to kind of lead and break away from XRP for a minute, because it has some catching up to do. And XLM essentially being a fork of XRP, other than a few differences, they are essentially the same thing. And in my personal opinion, I think that they are going to be the two most valuable cryptocurrencies moving forward. At some point, they will absolutely be coveted, and people will look back on this time and wonder why in the world they didn't just buy a couple hundred or a couple thousand just in case. It's going to be one of those things, and it's not just XRP and XLM, but a lot of people are going to look back and absolutely regret this point in their lives that they didn't open up their way of thinking to the possibility by just buying some. Many of you know that this is an incredible investment, if not one of the best investments of our lifetime, with potential that could essentially last for the rest of our lives. There are also a lot of people out there that look at certain cryptos as just being like a lottery ticket. But regardless, no matter how you look at it, we know that the potential of this far exceeds anything else that we could be investing in or focusing our time on. And please, do not miss out on this opportunity. I don't give investment advice on this channel. I'm not a financial advisor, but I can tell you personally what I'm doing. And I am not selling any XRP, any XLM, zero HBAR, zero Algorand until about 2030, 2032. I'm not here to profit from these small gyrations, even though my best talent in trading is day trading. But for the last couple of months, I really have not been trading that much because I've been working heavily on some other projects, back testing trade setups, not to mention this YouTube channel and my Patreon take a lot of my time. So to be able to focus on day trades really just isn't a possibility for me right now. So I've switched into long-term accumulation mode, accumulating more XRP, more XLM, more HBAR in areas that I believe are perceived lows. And even though the April flash crash did not come to fruition in the way that I had envisioned, there still was a crash in early April. And many of you were able to take advantage of that, loading up on some of your favorite cryptos that you're probably still holding or have since sold and made incredible profits on. But whatever you do, always keep in mind the alternatives, that every single time you buy and every single time you sell, you are taking a risk. By buying, you're taking a risk of losing money. By selling, you're taking a risk of missing out. So if you do sell, you might want to consider leaving a portion of your bag that's just in the never sell department, just in case you're wrong, because that small portion eventually could be worth more than the entire bag that you once held at the time that you sold. Plan these things out. Think about this stuff, because you may not get a second chance. None of us know exactly how this is going to unfold or exactly what's going to happen. And Trump literally could put out a tweet in 15 minutes and collapse the price of the markets and the crypto markets in general. None of us know what the future holds. So we have to prepare and plan for all eventual possibilities. And as Bruce Lee was famously quoted as saying, we must be like water. Now think about that and get a plan. So that's kind of what I'm thinking in this ballpark. We want to be watching this green equilibrium line right here. We want to be watching this fair value gap for support. If that folds, we want to be watching this one for support. But keep your eyes on Bitcoin, because I think that's going to be the determining factor as to what we're going to see moving forward, because all eyes are going to be on Bitcoin, especially if we start moving up, setting a new all-time high, and then breaking out of that range. That's really going to put the pressure on all the other cryptos. And even though they will gradually start to move up with it, Bitcoin is so much bigger that it can very easily chew up all that investment capital that would have otherwise gone into the altcoins like XRP, XLM, HBAR, etc. And I also just want to remind you, go in the description box and click on that link and watch that video I showed you. Not just one of you, not some of you. Don't put it off till later. Click that link and watch that video. It's very important. So thank you so much for watching this video. I appreciate each and every single one of you. Please do me a favor, click the like button below. It doesn't cost you anything and it really helps the channel. If you'd like to join my Patreon page, the link is also in the description, where I give lots of little juicy tidbits in there. And if you ask anybody who's joined the Patreon, which is well over 100 people at this point, I believe that most of them would tell you that the value that I produce on that Patreon page is well worth it. And I guarantee if you do sign up, you will not regret it. So thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.